Have you ever had your dog bark right at you and no matter what you do, it just keeps going? It can feel random, annoying, or even confusing, but your dog is usually barking for a reason. A lot of owners think barking is just noise, but many times it is actually your dog's way of communicating something. It might want something from you, it might be reacting to the moment, or it might be trying to tell you something important. In this video, we are going to look at the 7 real meanings behind this behavior, and
The
one of
reason
them is a
7
reason
is
many
simple.
dog owners never
It's the
even
best reason
realize.
yet.
So let's start with one of the most common ones. Reason 7. Your dog has learned that barking works. Sometimes the reason your dog barks at you is not emotional, deep, or complicated at all. It barks because it has learned that barking gets results. This is one of the reasons many owners completely miss, because they focus on the moment but not on the pattern. Your dog barks, you look at it. Your dog barks again, you talk to it. Maybe you get up, maybe you open the door, maybe you give it food, maybe you throw the toy, or maybe you just react in some way. And from your dog's point of view, that reaction matters. Dogs learn very quickly from repetition. If a behavior keeps leading to something useful, they remember it. So if barking has worked before, even a few times,
Hey,
your
buddy, what
dog
is
can
it?
start seeing it as one of the
All right, you
easiest
can have
ways
it.
to get your attention. It does not need to understand the whole situation the way a human would. It just needs to connect one thing to another. When I bark, something happens. That is why this kind of barking can become a habit without owners even realizing it. At first, maybe your dog only barked when it really needed something, but then it noticed that barking also worked in other situations. Maybe it barked once while you were eating and you looked at it. Maybe it barked near the door and you immediately got up. Maybe it
Go
barked while
get
you
it!
were on the couch and you started talking
Good
to it.
boy, bring it
Little by
back.
little, the dog starts to understand that barking is powerful. And the interesting part is that even a negative reaction can still feel like success to a dog. A lot of people think, I'm not rewarding the barking, I'm telling my dog to stop. But to the dog, you are still engaging, you are still responding, you are still breaking your focus and giving that bark your attention. For some dogs, that alone is enough to keep the behavior going. This is why barking can sometimes seem to appear out of nowhere. It may feel like your dog is barking for no reason, but in reality, the reason may be very simple. It has practiced this behavior before, and it has worked. Your dog is not trying to manipulate you in some clever human way. It is just repeating a behavior that its own experience has taught it to repeat. You can often notice this type of barking by the way the dog watches you after it barks. It is not just making noise and moving on. It is looking for your reaction. It is waiting to see what you will do next. In that moment, the bark is less about emotion and more about expectation. So sometimes, when your dog barks at you, the message is not just I'm excited or I'm upset. Sometimes the real meaning is much simpler than that. Your dog has learned that barking gets a response, and now it keeps using that same method because from its point of view, it works. Reason 6. Your dog is overexcited. Not all barking comes from frustration or a problem. Sometimes your dog barks at you simply because its excitement is overflowing, and it does not know where else to put that energy. You can usually feel the difference right away. This kind of barking has a very different mood. The dog may be bouncing, spinning, wagging hard, running back and forth, or looking like it is about to explode with energy. Maybe you just picked up the leash, maybe you came home. Maybe it thinks a walk, food, or playtime is about to happen. In moments like that, the barking is not really a complaint. It is more like excitement spilling out of the body. And honestly, this makes sense when you think about how dogs experience the world. They do not sit there and calmly process exciting moments the way humans try to. They feel things fast and fully. So when something big is about to happen, especially something they love, that energy often shows up through movement, sounds, and very impulsive behavior. Barking becomes part of that release. This is why some dogs bark the second they see you reach for their leash, open a certain cabinet, stand near the door, or even say a word they recognize. They are not doing it to annoy you. Their brain has already connected that moment with something exciting, and now their whole body is reacting before the event even happens. What makes this kind of barking interesting is that the dog may not actually want anything new from you in that exact second. It already knows what is coming. The barking is more like an emotional overflow. The dog is so excited that staying quiet becomes the hard part. That is also why this barking often stops as soon as the exciting thing starts. Once the walk begins, once the toy is thrown, or once the greeting moment passes, the barking may fade because the energy finally has somewhere to go. The sound was just part of the buildup. So sometimes when your dog barks at you, it is not stressed, angry, or demanding. It is simply too excited to stay quiet. In that moment, the barking is the sound of all that happy energy rushing out at once. Reason 5. Your dog is frustrated. Sometimes, your dog is not barking at you because it is scared or excited. Sometimes it is barking because it is frustrated. This usually happens when your dog wants something, expects something, or is ready for something, but for whatever reason, it is not happening. And that gap between what the dog wants and what it is getting can create a lot of tension very quickly. You see this a lot in small everyday moments. Maybe your dog wants to go outside, but you are not moving fast enough. Maybe it wants the toy you are holding, but you are not throwing it yet. Maybe it is staring at you, waiting for dinner, waiting for a walk, waiting for attention, and in its mind, the delay makes no sense. That is when barking can start. What makes frustration barking different is that it often feels pushy. The dog is not calmly trying to communicate. It is more like the dog has already tried being patient, and now it is done waiting. You can almost hear that mood in the bark itself. It feels sharper, more repeated, more insistent. The dog may bark, pause, stare at you, and then bark again like it is checking whether the message is finally getting through. In that moment, your dog is not just making noise, it is reacting to the fact that what it wants is still out of reach. And honestly, this is very human in a weird way. Dogs can get irritated by delays too. They build expectations, especially around routines, and when those expectations are blocked, they often do not handle it quietly. They let that feeling out through sound and body language. That is why frustration barking often shows up with other little signs too. Your dog may pace, whine, paw at you, stare hard, or keep shifting its body like it cannot settle down. It is not relaxed. It is wound up. So sometimes when your dog barks at you, it is not saying, "I'm happy," and it is not saying, "I'm afraid." It is saying, "I want something, and I'm frustrated that it is not happening." Reason 4. Your dog wants your attention. Not every bark is about food, danger, or going outside. Sometimes your dog barks at you for one simple reason. It wants your attention, and it wants it now. This kind of barking often happens when your dog feels ignored. Maybe you are on your phone, working, watching TV, or doing something that does not involve it. Your dog sees that you are there, but your focus is somewhere else. So it barks to pull that attention back, and in a lot of cases, it works immediately. You look up, you say its name, you talk to it. Even if you are not giving it exactly what it wants, you are still responding. To your dog, that matters. The bark did its job. What makes this reason different is that the dog may not need anything specific at all. It may not be hungry. It may not need to go outside. It may not even want to play. It may simply want engagement. Your voice, your eyes, your reaction, your presence. Sometimes that is the reward. You can usually recognize this kind of barking by the timing. It often shows up when your attention is clearly somewhere else. The dog may come close, look right at you, bark once or twice, and then wait, almost like it is checking whether it has successfully interrupted whatever you were doing. There is also something a little personal about this kind of bark. Your dog is not just making noise into the room. It is directing the sound at you. That usually means the goal is not just expression. The goal is connection. So sometimes when your dog barks at you, it is not trying to warn you or ask for something concrete. It is simply saying, in the clearest way it knows how, "Pay attention to me for a second." Reason 3. Your dog is trying to tell you something important. Sometimes when your dog barks at you, it is not just asking for attention or reacting emotionally. Sometimes it is trying to alert you to something it thinks matters. This is one of the most interesting kinds of barking because, in these moments, your dog is often not focused on itself. It is focused on something happening around you. Maybe it heard a sound outside. Maybe someone is at the door. Maybe it noticed movement near a window, a strange noise in another room, or something unusual in the environment that you have not picked up on yet. Your dog notices things much faster than you do, and barking can be its way of making sure you notice too. What makes this kind of barking different is the feeling behind it. It usually does not have the same needy tone as attention-seeking barking, and it does not feel playful like excitement barking. There is often a sense of purpose behind it. Your dog may bark, then look toward the thing that caught its attention, then look back at you, almost like it is trying to direct you. In a way, that is exactly what it is doing. It is saying, "Look over here," or "Something is happening." You can often see this when a dog barks and then immediately turns its head toward the door, the hallway, the window, or some specific part of the house. That little detail matters. It tells you the barking is connected to something outside of the interaction between you and your dog. The dog is not just trying to get a reaction out of you for fun, it is responding to something it thinks deserves your awareness. And from the dog's point of view, this makes complete sense. Dogs are naturally alert animals. Even the most relaxed dog still has instincts that make it sensitive to changes in its surroundings. A new sound, an unfamiliar person, an unexpected movement, these things can trigger a quick response. Barking is one of the clearest tools dogs have for announcing that something has changed. Sometimes the important thing is genuinely important, and sometimes it is not a big deal at all. It could be the mail carrier, footsteps outside, another animal, or just a sound your dog does not fully understand. But to your dog, the meaning in that moment is still real. It has noticed something and feels the need to bring it to your attention. This is why some dogs seem almost determined when they bark this way. They are not satisfied with one small bark if you ignore them. They may keep going, because in their mind, the message has not gotten through yet. They are not being dramatic, they are being persistent. So sometimes, when your dog barks at you, it is not really about wanting something from you at all. It is your dog's way of warning, alerting, or informing you that something around you has changed. Whether the danger is real or not, the dog is still trying to do its job the best way it knows how. That is what makes this type of barking different. It is less about demand and more about communication. Your dog is not just making noise, it is trying to tell you, in the clearest way it can, that something needs your attention. Reason 2. Your dog is excited to see you. Sometimes, when your dog barks at you, the reason is not negative at all. Your dog is simply excited, and that excitement comes out as barking. This is one of the easiest meanings to misunderstand because, to us, barking can sound loud, annoying, or a little chaotic. But to your dog, it may just be the fastest way to let all that energy out. Dogs do not always stay calm when something makes them happy. Sometimes they bounce, run in circles, wag hard, and bark because their whole body is reacting at once. You have probably seen this kind of moment before. Maybe you come home after being gone for a while, and your dog starts barking the second it sees you. Or maybe you pick up the leash, walk toward the door, or say a word your dog recognizes, and suddenly it cannot stay still. In these moments, the barking is usually not about stress or frustration. It is more like your dog is overflowing with emotion. What makes this kind of barking different is the feeling around it. An excited dog usually looks loose and happy, not tense and defensive. The tail may be wagging fast, the body may be moving all over the place, and the dog may keep jumping from one little burst of energy to another. Sometimes it barks while running toward you, then backs away, then comes right back again. It is not trying to scare you or complain, it is just caught up in the moment. And honestly, this happens because dogs live very much in the present. When something good is happening, they feel it immediately and strongly. They do not stop to hide that feeling or control it the way people try to. They just react. So if seeing you, going for a walk, getting ready for play, or even hearing a certain sound fills your dog with excitement, barking can become part of that reaction. That is why this type of barking often fades once the exciting moment actually begins. Once the leash is on, once the greeting settles down, or once the game starts, the barking may calm because the energy has somewhere to go. So sometimes, when your dog barks at you, it is not asking for help, giving a warning, or showing stress. It is simply so happy and excited that staying quiet is the hardest part. Reason 1. Your dog wants something from you. A lot of the time, when your dog barks at you, the meaning is actually very simple. It wants something. This is probably the most common reason, but it is also the one people often brush off too quickly because they think, yeah, obviously. But the interesting part is not just that the dog wants something, it is how deliberately dogs use barking when they realize you are the person who can make that thing happen. Your dog knows you control a big part of its world. You open the door, you bring the food, you grab the leash, you throw the toy, you start the walk. So when your dog stands in front of you and barks, it is often not random noise at all. It is direct communication. In that moment, your dog is focused on the one person most likely to solve the problem. And this can show up in a lot of different ways. Sometimes your dog wants to go outside. Sometimes it is hungry. Sometimes it wants water, a toy, a walk, or just for you to stop what you are doing and pay attention to a need it has right now. What makes this reason feel so real is that most owners have actually seen it happen. The dog barks, then looks at the door. Or it barks and runs toward the kitchen. Or it barks, then comes back and stares at you like it is trying to say, "Come on, I'm showing you." That is the part that matters. Dogs do not always communicate in a straight line the way humans do, but they are often much clearer than people realize. A bark directed at you, especially when it comes with staring, pacing, or leading behavior, usually means your dog is trying to get a response tied to something specific. And over time, this can become very intentional. Once a dog learns that barking gets your attention when it needs something, that behavior gets stronger. It becomes one of the clearest tools it has. Not because the dog is being difficult, but because, from its point of view, this method works. So sometimes when your dog barks at you, the meaning is not hidden at all. Your dog is not trying to confuse you. It is trying to tell you that it wants something, and it is looking directly at you because it knows you are the one who can make it happen. So if your dog barks at you, it is usually not random. In most cases, your dog is trying to tell you something, and once you understand the reason, the barking starts to make a lot more sense. The key is to pay attention to the moment, the body language, and what your dog seems to want. If your dog does this too, let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like and subscribe for more dog videos.